There are U.S. cities passing protective ordinances on 5G and small cell equipment across the country. In Los Altos, they are prohibiting it in residential areas on the rights-of-way. There are setbacks in other cities, in Petaluma, the town of Bedford, New Hampshire, where I just was. There are also setbacks for schools as well. This is the website of the, oh wait, wrong one, press the wrong button, of the 5G State Commission to study the New Hampshire Commission to study 5G. And if you go online, you can read what this group of, I think there's 16 people, including industry, have been doing. They interviewed Dr. Michael Weid, who is the National Institutes of Health National Toxicology Program scientist, who's studying radiofrequency radiation, the $30 million study that found clear evidence of cancer in the rats, and most recently published on DNA damage. And I actually put a little quote from there in the minutes, because there are extensive minutes being taken in all of these meetings. And yes, they have had industry-funded scientists on as well. And they're asking really good questions in that commission, very highly educated group. A lot of people believe that unless you heat tissue, you won't see health effects. This study demonstrates, I can't read it, but I know it in my head, and I know that what this study demonstrates that as we, you know what, is there any way I can actually see my PowerPoint here? It would help me so much, and I don't know why. The font's too small. But what he talks about, maybe if someone comes up, is how the $30 million study that the United States government did, because we don't have research on long-term exposure to wireless or cell phones in people, found cancer, and this was at levels that were at non-heating effects. The study was very carefully designed. That's great. Okay, let's do that. That's perfect. Okay. Thank you. Okay. This study, I'm just going to read the quote from Dr. Weid. This study disproves that the only health effect is heating, as we did not have overheating, but we did see damage. And that is there in the notes of the New Hampshire 5G Commission. Should anyone say that heating is the only cause of damage from electromagnetic fields or from wireless radio frequency? And yet, the New York Times is running one of several, this is a picture, and I am sent this so many times from so many people every time I raise this issue and they're sort of new to it. They say, wait, the New York Times says that it's not really a health hazard. And in this article, it says mainstream scientists continue to see no evidence of harm from cell phone radio waves. This is simply not true. It is true that the authorities that many governments look to and the agencies that are being looked to for answers on this are not saying that there is harm, except for the National Toxicology Program at this time in the United States. But there are so many scientists who are sounding the alarm bell and saying we have a problem because 5G is going to utilize everything we have now in terms of the frequencies and the types of technologies, and it's going to add in millimeter waves, add in new kinds of technology with steerable waves, and it's more, much more radiation, as research has shown. And what people may not be aware of is that this is actually a screen save from the CEO of the New York Times talking with the CEO of Verizon about their new partnership that they're doing on 5G. They have a 5G lab they're doing for journalists. Verizon is sponsoring New York Times subscriptions for high schools, and if you look at the board of the New York Times, you see several prominent members of industry. So I have written the New York Times repeatedly, and they are not changing some of the completely unfactual things in their article. We don't even have an ombudsperson to go to. Who do you go to when the press is wrong on information? Well, thankfully, in Ireland, where this New York Times article ran, Professor Tom Butler actually filed a complaint with the Irish press ombudsperson, and it was found that that article breached Principle 1, truth and accuracy. And, you know, thank goodness there are countries that have an organization that is doing this work, because we have to have a free press in order to have a democracy. If we don't have this information, if the information is wrong, we can't make educated decisions about our lives.